Hopefully I've got all my videos set up here and y'all can stop me at any moment if it's not going the way that it's supposed to go. So, I've got this is about ChatGPT, what you're putting in versus what it's getting. Okay. Has anybody seen this one yet?
Yeah,
Got here we go.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Y'all aren't hearing that, are you? You're not hearing
No.
it? Okay, hold on. Audio. Oh, I see. Still don't understand what's going on here. Let me turn this up a bit. It could be my computer volume's down. Hold on a second.
As the anticipation builds.
Okay, now I can hear you. Dang it. Um, well, y'all can't hear that, unfortunately. All right. So, what it was showing was is this guy is asking for the sandwich to be cut in half, and this is AI. So there's AI about to cut the sandwich. Wait a minute, that's not what I want. So you can see the instructions, and this is a big fail here. So anyway, let's go back to my PowerPoint here. And it's more about and so let's have a little discussion on this. I'm finding that a lot of the challenges that any of our agents are having in using ChatGPT or Gemini or anything is what they're putting in on it. And
Right.
so I just want to put a note out here. Don't give up on what's happening when you're looking at doing a chat GPT, give me an answer or whatever. You have to give it specific instructions on what you're looking for. Um, and Scott, you can jump in anytime you want on that one. But it's about like this sandwich here, cut the sandwich in half. You have to tell it how to cut the sandwich. And you have to say, cut the sandwich with a knife, with a bread knife. And so you have to tell it how exactly what you want it to do. Now, this is video, so you got to get really specific. But whenever I do a an instruction to chat, and I did one just this morning. Let's see here. And it was about a septic thing. But what I did is anytime I do like here's a VAHLC short sale. What's going on with the short sales? Direct me to the location on a Veterans Affairs website information on VAHLC military VA HAP short sale. So I had to give it all this instruction to find out because I know what was out there are instructions from the VA on how they handle a short sale and how they have a program that gives money to the veteran to pay off the short sale. But I had to find it because if you just go to va.gov, you ain't going to find it. So I had to give it a lot more information on what I was looking for. Um, this one, I gave it, I'm looking to analyze this data to show the difference in the markets reflected in structure type column, separate the structure type detached as one type, combine the twin semi-detached and end of row town. You see how much information I'm giving it? Because if I just say, take this and analyze it, it's not, I'm not giving it enough instruction. So what I ultimately got out of that, I said, okay, it did this chart for me. And then what I got was, um, okay, so let's just say this. Great. Give me an image of this information for an info what is it? Infomercial, not infomercial,
Infographic.
infographic or posting on social media. Okay, so I'm giving it, I have to say image. I have found if I don't say image, I don't get the right thing. I get a flyer or something. So we're going to let that. go along and see what it creates for me here in a second, okay? But the key on this is to be very specific on what you're looking for when you're trying to get information here. And this was if you want to see an example of what we write versus what we get, just do a a search on exact instructions, and it's really big in writing classes for middle and middle school, where teachers are saying, "Let's go with the exact instructions." Kids will say, "Take the peanut butter out of the fridge, take the jelly out of the fridge, put it on the bread, and spread it around." So the teacher puts the jelly jar and the peanut butter jar on top of the bread, because that's all it said to do. So it's about exact instructions. And I would just submit that that's kind of what you have to do when you're talking about ChatGPT or Gemini or any else. I'm using a lot more Notebook and Gemini right now than I am the other. But that's what have y'all's findings been in your use when you're talking with, what are you doing with chat? And by the way, or any of the AIs, what are
Hey,
you?
Anthony, let me chime in on the prompt question,
Yeah, okay.
the topic. So I've got a presentation slide deck on prompt to output that talks about best practices of how to formulate a prompt. And it's basically input, the quality of the input dictates the quality of the output. And it's
Hmm.
as a, and I won't get into all of it. And that's going to be on the website. You can download it and, you know, go through it. And basically, it's asking yourself, well, what's the purpose of the task that I am um, seeking to have done? Who's the audience? What's the tone? And Anthony, can I share my screen for
Yeah,
just a
sure. Hold
second?
on.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, because I'm going to show you uh, so one of the things I did this morning came out of yesterday's or Wednesday's mastermind and some questions after that about people don't have an understanding of what custom instructions are or how to create them. And I put my own custom instructions up on the screen, and people were like, Slack-jawed is like, oh, because it's pretty detailed. So this morning, and I've got another thing, everything about the AI mastermind group is in one single chat. So there's an opportunity for AI, I'm using ChatGPT, to learn from it and also to do consistency checks. So I asked the question this morning, Anthony, how do I share my
Yeah,
screen?
what message are you getting?
I'm getting no message.
Okay.
I was going to show everybody the prompt that I put in and what that enabled me to create.
Yeah, I think you should just check share and it should come up.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll do that.
Um,
I didn't actually, I don't see a,
It's down at the bottom.
Just be at the
yeah,
bottom.
that's what I was, that's what I thought.
You'll see participants, chat,
Oh,
react.
you see that? Okay, you can see that. Okay. So here's the prompt that I did for I wanted to create a one-page primer, not a full presentation slide deck on what is the information that people should know about what's the purpose of custom instructions, how do you create them, what's the effect, and so on. So just to give you some idea, that's the level of detail that I went into about purpose, audience, and it's basically for agents that have not used AI and they don't have an understanding about custom instructions and how important they are to create a foundation, because it doesn't matter later on how good your prompt is. It's never going to be as good of a result if you haven't given whatever AI you're using, Gemini, Chat, the baseline foundation of how to formula or any output it does or any response to a prompt, it's run through consideration of your custom instructions. So did that,
if you're sharing your
and
screen, we're not seeing it.
oh, okay, sorry. I thought somebody said that they saw what was on my screen. So
I was just telling you down at the bottom, you'll see
okay,
participants, chat,
story. Thank
react,
you.
share.
Oh gosh, yeah, like what a idiot.
Nuts came in.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me see which screen I need to share here.
We're still not seeing it.
You're not seeing it? Well, I'm trying to find which screen to
Okay.
share because I've got a bunch up. Um, Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Bear with me a second. This is actually probably not actually. It is incredibly important because if you don't do this,
There we
then
go.
you're kind of in the weeds and such. So
Now we
again,
got it.
this is the depth of the custom instruct or the prompt that I used. And the outcome um, is boom. And so it gave me all of this in terms of each of those categories, the bullet points that I just dropped into. I revised the template that I have for the presentation and did it in a one page, 8.5 by 11. So if I just would have put in, I want to do a summary of custom instructions to use in AI and don't talk about who the audience is and the purpose, you're not going to get this. This is what I have on screen. 95% the initial response was this. I changed a couple of words and did some design stuff. So it's really important that um, you understand how to formulate prompts
Hmm.
because that the pathway to get to a end um, an end result that is useful to you without multiple iterations and the level of frustration going to 12 um, is so as I said, there is a presentation that I'll make shareable on the website as of sometime this afternoon or tomorrow, and then I'm going
Okay.
to share this one-page primer on how to do custom instructions. And although I use ChatGPT, Gemini has custom instructions in too, so
Yeah.
as well, so you can formulate your own based upon your own needs.
Yeah, what I find is with ChatGPT, if you give it a like I think y'all know a lot of the reports you can do in Bright MLS. If you give it the last page of those reports, um, and just say, let me go back to my my screen here. Boom. Sure. So, out of the information I gave you earlier,
Mhm.
which you were seeing, all the charts and all that stuff, then I said, "Hey, make me a social media, make me an image out of this that I can share on social media." By saying, "Give me an image," I got an image that I can share on social media is the instruction to say, "Oh, you want it so it's like on a phone." Now, it gave me a lot of stuff here. The challenge I have with this is really it needs to stop probably on this top right here. Because this little bitty stuff, I got a big old screen here and I can barely read it.
Right.
So anything you're looking at on a phone, this is not going to be read very well. So then I might put this into something else and narrow it down or crop it. Or I can say, you know, and this isn't going to be a whole thing today about ChatGPT. We just want to talk very quickly about how to prompt it. So there it gave me what I have here say, thanks, redo with just the columns comparing the property types. I don't need the key takeaways
Here's a key takeaway on prompts.
or the
There's
median.
the scenario where what I'm about to say doesn't apply is about 1 out of 472. More words, more sentences, more detail is better.
Yeah.
Describe the task in as much detail about what you want to get out of it as possible, and you will get a much better result.
Right.
I'm
And
to the
then
point
tell it
now.
what, yeah, and
Yeah,
then just edit it like treat this thing like it's an assistant. Hey, I don't want that here. I want that there. I need this here. I need that there. But go ahead and get the big stuff and say, okay, this isn't going to work for me. I just need the smaller stuff. And then it's going to give you the graphics you need. Um, Now, this is talking about needing a graphic. So there you go. So it's still going to work for me. That's good. That's probably what I would go with. Um, and then when I post this, I'm going to put text with it. Remember, you can't just put a bunch of these out there and think you're going to become top of the answer engine optimization because you got a picture on there. AI is not really reading this picture. It's going to read the text I'm going to put with this picture. So my Northern Virginia market update right now, here's what's happening. Take a look at the details from detached homes to townhouses to condos. And this is as of May 2026. I always put the date in there because I go in there and say, um, let's start a new chat. How's the market in Northern Virginia in May 2026? It's going to go out and search the web, but I guarantee you it's going to pull in someone that has done a recent market update. Okay. Northern Virginia Association of Realtors, Axios, DC Market Trail Suburbs and Spring Housing Market. And that's what I want to know. What are the sources?
Yep.
All right. Morningstar, Axios are national organizations. Northern Virginia housing market posts steady gains. That's probably pulling in NVAR. And then here's PCRE Homes from 2 days ago. It says 2 days ago, but that was February 2026. And as you know, in real estate, that's aged. to give me something from February on how's the market today. So imagine if you started just posting stuff like this from NVAR on your blog section on your website or on your LinkedIn or on your Facebook, just the text. So that's kind of the thing there that you want to be looking at as far as
So to give you an example, my custom instructions, one of the lines, and
yeah,
you're character limited. You have a maximum, but I
yeah.
any data that's quoted is from Bright or NVAR, and do not provide NER data unless specifically requested.
Hmm. Right.
That's again getting down to specificity about
Yeah.
exactly what you want.
And this is where I said Northern Virginia. What are most searchers probably going to go with?
Specific location,
In
Northern.
Alexandria, Virginia,
Mhm.
or in Springfield or in Vienna. That's what they're going to say. So if you're doing that type of work and those are your markets, then start doing market reports from that. We're going to do some other workshops and stuff. The mastermind is so we can all share with each other. And so what Scott and Vern and I really want y'all to do is take what we're saying and go play with it and then start using it in your social media. Because then when you come to the mastermind, we want to hear what did you find? How did it work for you? That kind of thing. All right. Anyway, so negotiations, home inspection findings, HOA defects. This question keeps coming up all year long. So I don't know if people aren't listening to what I'm putting out there or they're just not paying attention. So anyway, the thing on this one is it's easy to say we've got all these issues, so we want $5,000 or $10,000. I would submit, get your inspection done early and bring that contractor in right afterwards and get a bid. Now you got a real number. So that's the number one thing is go with what you know. As a listing agent, it's very irritating to have an agent say, well, I did this before and I've done this several times and it's always 75 to $10,000. I need a real number to talk with the seller. So be ready to have real information. Talk with your contractors in today's market and say, can you come by and take a look at this list? I have a contractor. I can send the home inspections to him, and he gives me a guesstimate based on the home inspection report of the things that I want done. He goes, now, and we have an understanding. I haven't seen it. Once we open up the floor, there may be other problems, but he's willing to give me a bid on the phone that way so that I can submit that to the seller and say, look, this is the number I got from this vendor. I use them all the time. And so it's a $4,500 problem. So we're asking for $5,000 in case we're off. Now I've got a real thing on that. HOA defects. I don't know what's going on with sellers today. I've got more complaints on this topic this year than we have in a long time. And that's where sellers are just not completing the HOA fixes. So what are your options on that? What do you think you can do if you walk in the door and that backyard hasn't been reseeded or the fence hasn't been corrected? What do you think your options are?
Accept it as one and proceed to closing.
Yeah. And if you accept it, what does that mean about it? What's the HOA thinking about it?
Violation
become
goes with
your
the property.
problem?
What, Melanie?
I was saying, doesn't it become your problem now as the new buyer?
Yeah. Now it's your problem. Yeah. And some buyers are willing to do that. I've had several. I'm not talking just one report. I've got 3 this week. I've had a couple last week where sellers, I don't know if they're just losing energy to get it done or what's going on, but but what you can do is remember, you can get an acceptance addendum from the buyer to accept it in this current condition. You're accepting it as is. You know this is a violation. And then it's on the HOA. What are they going to do? Well, for violations, most HOAs are not fining people. I'm not hearing that. If anyone's heard that, let me know. They will get you if you're not paying your dues or paying your assessments. But when it's like your door's red and it's supposed to be auburn red, not red. And then what's the association do? They ding it, it stays in the file, and then you just kind of wait till the next person sells it. So that's the thing about HOA defects. They are supposed to, in the contract, complete them, and they're not negotiable. Well, I take that back. If you leave the contract as is, there is an addendum we have that you can, in the clauses and contingencies addendum, there's a block for the as-is block. And one of those is on the as-is block or addendum is, I will accept the HOA defects in their current condition. So you can do that. But this is not what we're talking about right now. I'm hearing complaints from agents. What do I do? They're not fixing it, and they're supposed to be fixing it. One other way to do this is have a handyman give you a bid on fixing all of that and have that handyman submit an invoice, and then they fix it after closing. So that's another way to handle that. So one is accept it, move along. The other is put a credit out there. But if you've maxed out your credit already, then you submit an invoice from a handyman or a contractor to have it fixed afterwards. Okay? Just interesting, this keeps coming up. So I'm probably going to do a video on this one. Now, this one here, signing LLC, trust, and POA. I want to show you something real quick. Boom, 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 boom. All right, we're going to go back to this. But look at this. This slide was like from 4 weeks ago. Okay.
Anthony, we're
I'm
still seeing your
another
Northern Virginia
slide.
infographic.
What's
We're
that?
not seeing we're not seeing your slide.
still-
We're seeing
Oh,
Scott.
okay.
We're seeing the infographic.
Got it. Let's do it again. We're going to do screen 2,
Sorry,
share.
Melanie.
Thanks. How's that? Now do you see it?
No,
You don't see a screen, the HOA guy?
I see you. Let me see.
No, I did.
Yes.
Is-
Okay, got it. All right.
Where's
Where's the form list writing contract? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm flipping through here.
Yep,
Bunch of houses. All right.
yep.
So what I'm saying is I did this one. I have a video of this on my on my YouTube channel, Surprise Anthony Carr TV. You should subscribe. Anyway, I have this video, and these are some of the slides in that
It's too
video, and I
much.
thought maybe it would help to go through these slides. So my first thing in the video is disclaimer, consult with an attorney. And I always go to what's the title company willing to accept, because they're the ones on the dime. We're not. So what are you accepting to do that? So talk with the attorney at the title company. Is this proper for you? Entities are corporations, LLCs, partnerships, nonprofit organizations. So what you have in our world, usually it's the limited liability company who has a president or an owner who's the managing member. That person's going to sign for the LLC. Okay. This is what it would look like. Okay. Jane Smith, president, Jane Smith, president or managing member. And what I mean by this is that signature is their signature on the blank line. And then underneath it, it needs to say Jane Smith, comma, president. So the challenge you have here is when you go to DocuSign or now to AuthentiSign, it's going to say who's signing it. And when you put in the party needs to say Jane Smith, comma, president, not just Jane Smith. If not, you need to put a blank text underneath that signature line and put this information in there. Okay. So this is the LLC signature. This is a trustee signature. All right. Jane Smith, comma, trustee, Jane Smith revocable trust. So the trustee is Jane Smith. Now you might have, let's say it's the son, Robert Smith, comma, trustee of the Jane Smith revocable trust. Let's take it off Smith. It's Jane Smith, comma, trustee of the Bob Wisnowski revocable trust, if she's the trustee. So it doesn't have, the name of the trust doesn't have to match up with the person. Now remember, if you have a trust, an LLC, any other type of entity, when you do command, you got to upload those documents. So we have them in our files. A POA signature. This is where it gets really long. Okay. Jane Smith, comma, attorney in fact for John Doe, signature. That's the signature line. That's what they're signing. So get them some Bengay for their shoulder or something. And then the text underneath it says by Jane Smith, comma, attorney in fact for John Doe. That's how you sign for a POA. Okay. How long is the power of attorney good for?
Depends on the type of power of attorney.
Till they die.
No.
Yeah. Well, not it.
No.
Well, I will say if they die, it ends with it, but it could be a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
It depends on what the POA form says that they signed off on. So you need to ask them, well, what kind of POA is this? I need the documentation on that so that we have that in the, you just don't want to have someone signing because they say they're an administrator or a POA and there's no paperwork saying they have the authority to sell this house. That's what you want to make sure you're not doing. Executor of a will, Jane Smith, executor of the estate of John Doe, deceased. That's how long it's got to be. Yeah, Laura, what you got?
Yeah, can you use Jane Smith POA? Can we use the initials? I mean the POA and not write it all out? Can we just say POA?
What, Jane Smith, attorney in fact for John Doe? Instead of that, say Jane Smith POA for John Doe?
Yes.
Every attorney I've worked with says you got to say attorney in fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the ones I've worked with. Maybe there's someone else willing to accept it, but they're signing executable legal documents. So I would say it needs to be like this. All right. So here's the worst case. I had a guy who was the administrator of a will for his brother. The brother passed away intestate, meaning without a will. Remember that from real estate school?
Mhm.
Intestate. Had to go to probate. Came out of probate.
Law school, so it's worse.
Yeah. And he says that he's the administrator. We have a list of heirs, which was the guy signing, his brother, his sister, and a nephew. Okay. So is that 5? I think. So he's signing for himself, administrate as the executor. Then one of his brothers was awarded the state. He had to sign for his brother with another type of signature. Then he had the 2 powers of attorney from the sister and the nephew who couldn't be at closing. So he's sitting there signing all these signatures. And he said, I don't know why this nephew is getting anything, which if you remember the class from David Robertson, if it's intestate, if it's no, you go to court, who's it go to first? Parents and then siblings.
Right.
And then it goes to children.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if and so that's how it goes. And so the nephew was named because the nephew's brother had passed away. So that's why that happened. So there's a proper way to sign this stuff. I got a video on my YouTube channel, and it's got these little things here. But definitely check with the attorney that's doing the closing. and find out what they said. Where's the forms list? Yeah, got another
Anthony,
one?
one other thing on that,
Yeah.
because some folks may not have had this experience. The settlement company or agent may determine that the way the power of attorney document was written was not adequate.
Yeah.
They may require a new power of attorney to address the purchase or sale of real estate.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a fun one on Monday, Anthony. It was the owner of the property passed away. Her daughter was the executor of her estate. The husband is severely, I guess, disabled, so the daughter is also his power of attorney. So when I signed the listing agreement with her, with the daughter, it was as the estate's executor. But then the real estate attorney, they're all out of state in Atlanta. When the Wills Trust and Estates attorney filed the paperwork with Fairfax County, the property went to the husband, but because the husband is disabled, the daughter, is his POA, as well as the estate's administrator. So that was pretty fun, jumping through those hoops with the title company. So she ended up having to sign, John Doe, sole heir at law, for Jane Doe, who is deceased, by Erica Doe, attorney of fact for John Doe. That was
wow.
Her signature. So,
all right, let's go for lunch. I'll be right back on the next page.
Wow.
The everlasting closing because it takes so long to sign every stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
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 I mean, this can get wacky. I had a deal that came, this is several years ago, and all right, so here was the house, and this was the owner. This is the home owner now. He was selling to this guy. He had bought it from this guy. Okay. This guy had a trust when he sold it to this guy, but he didn't sign it right. And so this guy is trying to sell it to this guy, but we have a cloud on the title because he didn't sign it right. He didn't sign it as the trustee senior. So we go back to this guy to say, hey, you didn't sign it right. Well, this guy is now, he's dead. So,
of course.
So now we got the son stepping in and says, oh, so I still own this house. And so it had to go to court. Thankfully, this stuff doesn't take that long. The judge said, no, the intent of this guy was to sell it. I'm going to pass that it actually sold. That's how crazy it can get. So that's why, when does it matter? And the crowd said,
when it matters.
When it matters. That's when it matters.
When it matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Where's the forms list for writing contracts? Anybody know where that is?
Like, what do you mean, Anthony? I mean,
Like
it's in
people ask
command.
me, I need a list of documents for this contract.
It's in command.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Ta-da. Thank you. Who said that? Yeah. Thank you, Story. All right. So you log into command and here you go. And then you're going to go to your opportunities. And then you would go to your opportunity here. You pull up the one that you're working on, and it says Centerville. And then you go to documents. And I'm going to collapse this panel here to give me some more space. And there's your list of documents. So this list of documents is under consultation. Okay. And then under contract is different. A few different ones here, and then closed documents. These are the list, but these are just the list. If you're wondering, am I supposed to put in a XYZ form? This is your list here. Now, you go to the transaction, which I'm flipping over to Lone Wolf, which is Authentisign. You have the same type of thing. It's taking me to this Centerville listing. Here's my signings. Add paperwork is where I get to the whole library of all the forms. So let's say, oh, you know what? We were supposed to have a post-settlement occupancy agreement. We don't have it. So you go to the add paperwork. And here's how I search. Post. Okay, that's all I need. I don't look for the whole title because, like, how many on here are Maryland? Yeah, three of us. Yeah. What do you use to void a contract? What's the name of the form? Anyone know? I'll give you a quarter if you know. It's like,
Oh,
Notice.
what?
I should know this.
Notice.
Notice of what? It's unilateral notice of termination of agreement. That's a void's not in it. So if you put void, you're never going to come up. And what I found is sometimes if I search for the whole name, it doesn't come up. There's post settlement, settlement, purchaser's pre, seller's estimated cost of settlement. So that's how I search for documents. So then I just say, oh, that's the one I needed. Click, I add it. It's already added to my documents. It goes under not filed. And if I want that in the contract section, I just pull it down to here. It comes to the contract section. The not filed label disappears. And you just had a lesson in Authenticign. There you go. All right. I love that. There we go. But that's the whole library, and that's Northern Virginia. But it's got the Bright MLS library. It's got the GCAR library, if you're a member of GCAR. All the libraries are here. We're still wrapping up all these things in Kingstowne, so that should be changing it. All these are showing up because I'm licensed in all of them, and my license for transactions is in Falls Church. But that's where you find that. But the main purpose of that question was, where's the list of documents? Again, to my Maryland people, if those who are not in Maryland, but you want to go to Maryland, what you're going to find out is every local association has their own documents. So we don't have all that documents in there. So Prince George's County has some documents that's not MAR. So you have to, so what we do is we go to mdrealtors.org and we go to the local forms and we download them. And that's how we do it in Maryland for the two that are there. Okay. All right. Where's the forms list? We did that. We did that. How doesn't it? We did that. And I think that's it. Does the home seller have to carry rental? Yeah, they do. These are old ones that we had. So anyway, any other questions? What else you got? I want to take a shout out to Tyler. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in today. She is a dual career and a school teacher. So she does
And
not have
a class, but I currently have a class, but we're like on what study time, I guess
Okay,
you would
good.
call
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm taking notes.
Okay, good, good. Thanks, Tyler. We just want to say thanks for coming out. All right. Anyone else got anything? We got 19 and a half minutes. If you've got
Hey,
anything.
real quick, Anthony,
Yeah.
for leasing, what and this just came up while we were in here. For leasing in an HOA, I have to, or do we have to give the prospective tenant, once they've been accepted and everything, all of the governing documents, or just the ones that talk about design and maintenance standards?
For a purchase?
No, lease.
Oh, no, you just give them the rules and regulations. You don't
Okay.
need the governing documents. Yeah.
Okay,
They just
all
need
right.
to know whether their truck can be in the driveway or not.
That's what I thought. I just wanted
Yeah.
to double check.
Okay. Good question. Anybody else? Anything weird come up this week or last week? No.
Well, I will tell you, and it's been a little crazy, but we finally closed. How many of y'all, and I had to do a lot of searching, just backward searching on this, have had seller's remorse?
Oh, seller's remorse.
Yes.
Scott. He's like, we had a whole discussion on this, didn't we, about a sellers wanting to get out and what they really have available to them. Anybody had a seller? I've changed my mind. Anybody had that?
I get that a
And
lot
like
when
you
I,
lost a life, like when you saw that email at 2:30 in the morning, all of
Yeah.
a sudden you're like, I just got rid of a life.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I get that when I fully furnish my client's vacant house and they say, well, I don't want to sell it now because it looks good.
Yeah.
That's
I said, well,
exactly like we had
I
done
said,
everything. And I guess, in looking at the machinations and everything, I guess it happens less than about 10% of the time. But, I just had a life leave my body when that happens because
Mhm.
we had put together a really great deal, got them way over ask, and she came around, but I was just wondering if anybody else has actually ever really
Yeah.
dealt with that.
I have a question about that. So it's our discretion to let them out of their contract though, correct? Or
No.
is it,
Well, no, what she's talking about is actually a sales contract, not the listing agreement.
oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, this is like the listing agreement. Okay, why you want out? This is legally binding. I have a kill fee here, so you owe me $1,000. You can let them out. What
Okay.
she's talking about is they're under contract, they're headed to settlement, and suddenly
Mm.
they don't want to sell anymore. Well, my daughter is not living in Florida, so I don't want to sell anymore.
Okay. So
And
now I have another question. I have a person that would like for me to help them find a rental property. And
yeah,
so I'm going to meet with them on Monday just to
mhm,
see what they're looking for, the location, out of the general questions.
mhm.
Where do I go from there, or what do you suggest? Like, it's like me moving forward. What would be the steps?
Yeah. Are you available when we wrap up here?
Yes.
Good. Why don't you give me a buzz and we'll talk that through.
All right.
Okay. So what it means is just stay online when we close up and you and I'll walk through it. But back to Story's question is, yeah, they many times they'll want out. And so the only place they can get out, there's a couple of places they can get out. Anybody know?
EMD is late.
EMD is I technically in the contract, it's the only thing they can void. They can send a void. Okay. Um,
On the
Other
EMD.
items is if the buyer doesn't perform, then it voids. Okay. If the buyer decides the price came in under a contract, the seller won't agree, the buyer won't agree, then the contract is void. They're neither one of them's really voiding.
Well,
But
like in
if
this
you got,
particular
No,
situation, yeah, there were no outs in that sense because the buyers had waived all contingencies.
yeah, that's what sue for performance means. They're about to get sued for performance by the buyer. Another one that David and Robertson and I have kind of gone around, not round and round on, but we know it's a hole in the contract, is if the seller cannot deliver a marketable and clean title. They just can't, you know. So can they void? Technically, they can't void.
right.
But what they can do is say, look, you're going to have to accept this with this cloud on the title. If you're willing to do it, let's go to closing. And if they can't, then it's going to have to void because the buyer says, no, I'm not going to accept it that way. Then the buyer needs to void to get out of it.
Yeah, that gets into impossibility of performance. That's what
Right.
people are
I
done in
can't
business for.
perform.
Yeah.
I, whatever the case may be.
Anthony,
So yeah,
the EMD, is that the errors part of the contract?
no, that's the earnest money deposit.
Oh, earnest money. Oh, how
Yeah.
do you get out? Because they didn't put it in?
Yeah, let me explain that one. Anybody else want to explain? I'm talking so much. Anyway, what happens if the buyer doesn't put in the earnest money deposit by the deadline? Say you're supposed to do it in 3 business days. What's the options there?
The contract's void if
No, not yet. Someone's got to do something. Anybody else?
I didn't hear the question. Is it a notice?
If the EMD is not turned in on time, what happens?
The
Buyer's agent has to notify the seller's agent.
That's a new law, by the way. Not new, but more recent. The state said you must tell the listing agent we don't have the money. All right, so that's number one. You must do that or you will get called up to DPOR, and we've had that happen. Okay. The other is what's the next thing that can happen with that?
how is it a valid concept without consideration? If they
How's
don't,
it? Yeah, that's just it. See, that's the problem. And
Mhm.
so how do you get what does the seller do if no money's been turned in and he's under contract? He voids it. He can void, he or
Yeah.
she. They can
Yeah.
send notice, you didn't turn it in, I'm voiding. And if they don't do that, though, it continues on. So
So
I had a, yeah,
so because they haven't declined it, it's a
right.
acceptance by
Yeah.
non-performance. Okay.
Silence is not good.
Okay.
Yeah. But they got to know. And so that's where you as a buyer agent, and you need to tell your buyer when you're doing this agreement, hey, by the way, we're going to have a point where you need to get a check or a wire transfer to the title company. And if you miss the deadline, I'm required by law to call the listing agent. So don't make me have to call them. That's
Okay.
how I say it. They go, oh, I won't, because I don't want them to come back and say, doesn't seem like you're in my corner. Why did you tell them that? Because you don't want to go to jail. It's like, you know,
Not today.
not today.
What is the errors thing? I think David was talking about this the other day at the rally.
All right. So anybody want to take a stab at that? I've got a couple of cases where we've had to use that. Y'all just want me to but all right. All right. So here's a perfect example. The title company, the contract said we want a home warranty. Okay. And so 5 months later, the air conditioner breaks and the buyer goes to put in a claim on the home warranty. It was not purchased. So an argument ensued between us, we were the buyer agency, and the title company of whose fault that was. And I mean, I had my vice president on the line. We had their company owner and their best friend. They just didn't want to pay $5,000 to put in a new air conditioner, or whatever the price was. It was a townhouse. I think it was like 45 or $5,000 at the time. As you can say, this is several years ago. And so finally, we said, wait a minute, who's supposed to perform the contract? That is the title company's, and you're supposed to order it. It's your fault. They finally said, okay, they paid for it, but they filed a claim with their errors and omissions insurance. It was an error. So they made a mistake, not intentionally. It wasn't violating any law. And so EMD, the errors and omissions insurance, paid out on that. I had one where an agent was, this one was really crazy. And this is where I went on a rage with all my agents at the time. Don't try to be nice, be good. Right? Quit being nice, just be good. They were being nice because they kept asking the listing agent, do you want the home inspection? Because we're going to avoid, and I know that if we discover it, we tell you some of these things, now you got to fix them. Do you want it? And she kept going back and forth. Do you want it? Do you want it? Instead of just, what's the contract say?
They have to give it.
You send a void with it. Here you go. We're out. But there was this idea going on around 2016 or something where if you don't know, I don't want to know. Well, there is no choice about knowing without an addendum. And so what happened is she ratified on Friday, inspection on Saturday, voided on Sunday because of the inspection. And she kept going back and forth, and we weren't hearing anything from the listing agent. And of course, when do I find out? I find out when the listing agent comes in and says, we want your deposit. You never do. Two things she didn't do. She didn't give them the full report. And she sent the notice to only the listing agent. Right. The delivery said also to the seller. Seller was a corporate attorney. Thank you very much for your $5,000. Agent meant no harm. EMD paid for it. Or E&O paid for it. Okay. It was an error. But E&O doesn't like it when it's an error that you could have controlled. They could cancel your policy. So we don't want that. Okay. So that's errors and omissions, if that helps out there. Okay. All right. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. You can't get out of your contract with that, though.
You can't get out. What do you mean? Can't get out?
Because I thought that was brought up as a way to get out of a contract.
With errors and omission?
Yeah. Like if you make an error somewhere.
I don't know about that. This is usually an E&O is kicking in because you made a mistake in the transaction. Somebody was financially harmed.
So, Anthony, I think what may be being discussed is there's an error. There never was a meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
that's how it came up. And so
Oh, yeah,
never,
yeah.
never, maybe that's it. I don't remember the conversation, but that
Yeah.
would be a potential where you don't actually have a contract to start with,
Right.
even though the parties may think they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?